My parents divorced when I was 10 years old. I lived with my father. 2 years later, my father found a new woman to marry. My father would be away from home a lot at work, and I basically did all the chores around the house. I was very careful in everything I did. My stepmother was very bad to me, and she often abused me. Sometimes I didn't know what was wrong with me. One time I forgot to do the laundry and she came home and started beating me. This time I was hurt so badly that my stepmother threw me right out of the house. I was very lucky that I was found by a neighbor and taken to the hospital for treatment. I spent 2 months in the hospital before my body recovered. This experience had nothing to do with my near-death experience, but I would like to explain some background information about me. I did not have a happy childhood. Later, my father learned of these events and chose to divorce my stepmother. Because of my father's job, we moved to another city. I knew very well that I should forget these experiences and move on with my new life. But the new environment was hard for me to adjust. I didn't have any friends there because of my withdrawn personality. These experiences took a serious toll on my psyche, and I could not forget them. Shortly after I moved to my new home, I attempted suicide for the first time. These experiences made me very depressed, and my ways were almost always fatal, but each time I was found in time and taken to the hospital. What I experienced later had a huge impact on my life. I haven't attempted suicide since then. Not long after we moved, my brother passed away in a car accident. After my brother died, I saw no hope for my life. My brother was the closest person in the world to me. He was the only reason I was trying to stay alive. I felt that something had gone very wrong psychologically. At school, I hoped that my teachers would help me. I found the teacher and I wanted to talk to her. She told me she is very busy now and she will talk to me later. I became more depressed and now I just wanted to leave school. I lied to the teacher and told her that I was not feeling well and I wanted to go home on leave. The teacher agreed. I left the school and found a pharmacy. There I bought a lot of painkillers. Then I went to the nearest hotel. In the room, I swallowed all the painkillers and drank a bottle of medical alcohol. I thought that death would be the end of everything, that I would never wake up, and that the rest would be a blank. Half an hour later, I decided to go back to school. I was a person who didn't like to cause trouble for others, and I didn't want to hold my teacher responsible for what I had done to myself. When I got back to school, the teacher smelled the alcohol on me. She sent me to the school infirmary where the nurse shined a flashlight in my eyes, checked my pupils, and then told me to go home and rest. I went home and went to bed, thinking I wouldn't wake up again. The next morning I woke up feeling very nauseous and I was confused as to why I was still alive. Every once in a while I ran to the bathroom to vomit. I felt very sick, but I was still very energetic, which was very confusing to me. My father also just thought I was in a bad mood and had a drink. I wanted to tell my father about the painkillers, hoping he would do something for me because I felt so bad, but I decided to keep quiet. By the end of the night, I was feeling even worse. I told my father about the painkillers I was taking. My father immediately took me to the hospital. The doctor performed a blood test on me. The blood test showed that I did take some painkillers, but they didn't look serious. I was very confused because I knew how much I had taken. The doctor told me to come back to the hospital in a few days for another blood test. A few days later, the doctor told me that my liver was severely damaged. Then I was transferred to the intensive care unit. I no longer want to die now. It was hard for me to accept what the doctor told me. During the surgery, I left my body. I was floating in the air and could see myself lying in bed. I heard the nurse yell that my heart and breathing were going to stop. Then I fell into a dark tunnel. It was pitch black and I couldn't see anything. Suddenly, I saw an animal that looked like a jackal approaching me. Its teeth were very sharp. I felt very scared. I knew I was surrounded by these creatures. They came at me and I kept falling down. I felt like I was going to hell. I prayed to God to forgive me for my faults. I prayed for God to take my soul away. I began to pray over and over again. Next, I saw my brother, who had died in a car accident earlier. There was light shining around him. He looked so happy. He began to guide me. Next I appeared in another tunnel, this one going up. This tunnel was very bright and had indescribable colors. I walked very fast and at the end there was a light. I felt calm. I was attracted by the light and wanted to keep walking towards it. But as I started to get closer, I heard a male voice telling me that I had to go back. My time was not up yet. The voice continued to tell me that I had to go back to help teach more people. I went back into my body. But I couldn't open my eyes. I couldn't do it no matter how hard I tried. For the next 2 weeks, I was in a coma. I slowly recovered. Because of this experience, I was able to find God and see my brother again. I don't know why God decided to save me, but I am very thankful that He did. Please don't be like me. Hell is a very real and very scary place. I never want to go there again, and the rest of my days I faced life positively, knowing that this was the only way I could see my brother again in heaven.